Morning, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to Love 500 and welcome back to the how-to series. Today we are going to show you how to change a coil pack and plug leads on a Fiat 500 or a Ford Ka 1.2 8-valve car. It's really easy, it takes about 10 minutes. This car has got an error on it, an intermittent misfire. So we're going to run the diagnostics first, we'll show you that and then we'll show you how we change it. Let's go. Right, so we're on multi-ECU scan and we have the 500 1.28 valve. We are on the engine ECU and we have the first one connected, which is the 8 valve. I've taken the yellow connector off because you don't use that when you're connected to the engine. As you can probably hear, the engine is running. So let's connect to it, see what we get. So we've got no errors on the screen on the car at the moment. You know, no errors displaying, but we don't know what's going to come up in here. So we go into errors, ignition failures recognition. So it says intermittent and cylinder 1 ignition failures intermittent. So that's pretty much what it said on the other car. Now there is a possibility it's spark plugs, however spark plugs were changed on this, so I am going to change the coil pack. So we're going to clear those anyway. And we are going to see if we can see any, I don't think there's any spark advance. This doesn't really mean much to me, to be honest, but advanced corrections, spark advance. See if cylinder 1 looks any different to the other three. Which it doesn't, because I mean this is a intermittent fault, which is presumably not happening at the moment. So we've got I mean it could be something like the knock sensor, could be all sorts of things, but there's nothing there that, I mean spark advance, they're all on 0 each cylinder. So it doesn't really tell you very much, unless I suppose you know what you're looking for. But yeah, doesn't really tell me very much at all. So nothing jumps out at me there. So I am just going to replace it, and then we're going to use the car and see what happens. Because if I go back to the errors now, if I disconnect and then go back in, the chances are it's not going to come up with any errors, because there aren't any at the moment, because it's an intermittent problem. No fault codes. So we'll disconnect from there, we'll go to the car and we'll change it anyway, so let's do it. So the first thing we do when we're going to do anything like this is disconnect the earth terminal of the battery. So we'll take that off. So to do this I am going to remove this. I'll probably undo it from there, because I prefer to undo it from there than there. We're going to take that off. We can see if we can move it out of the way without taking the hoses off, and then we're going to unbolt it, and then it's only a few little bolts. And then we just take the plug leads off the plugs and fit the other one. So yeah, we've got 3 bolts, as you can see, 1, 2, 3. So yeah, let's do it. Right, so we undo that if we can. It's quite stiff, but it's quite rusty. It has actually broken, as they usually are. It was already broken, I didn't just break it. I just glue these back on because they come off all the time. See, that's supposed to be on there. So that's something we needed to fix anyway. So we've got that off, and now what we need to do is just get that out of the way. Let's take the airbox off. So I've got 2 10mm bolts. He says someone has put a bigger one on there. They are 10mm, but someone has put a bigger one on that side. So we'll undo this one, and then we'll get the proper size for whatever that is. That looks like a 12. Or is it just rusty? No, I think it's just rusty. No, it is 10, beg your pardon. There we go. Take that off. And then pull that off. As I say, you can take that off if you want to, but I just prefer to take the whole thing off. Pull it off of there. And if we can get it out of the way enough, without, you have to take off the back one, that's a given, but I think we are probably going to have to take, no, we can get it out of the way like that, so you don't need to take that off, you just need to get it out of the way. Right, so, as you can see, if we can bring you around here, we got 3 bolts, I already showed you on the other one, so we've got 1, 2, 3, again 10mm bolts, and one of the reasons for disconnecting the battery is because we've got the electrical connection as well we've got to undo, which I will do before I take out any more bolts. So we just unclip that. Now when you put the new one into these, there's no coding or anything necessary. It's plug and play, completely plug and play. No coding or anything required. There we go, the last one. And then I am just gonna, just because it's a bit oily, I'm just gonna put some gloves on and then take the plug leads off. So they're plugged in quite simply and quite sensibly, left to right, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's easy. You can't really get them mixed up. I'll show you on this one. So on here, so we go in, we put it in. Where are we? That way. And then you've got, that's plug 1, that's plug 2, that's plug 3, and that's plug 4. Simple as that. Right, let's just bung that on there out of the way for the minute. Just going to go and get some gloves. My hands already are greasy, but don't want to make them any greasier than I need to. So, right, to get these plug leads off, if you sort of wiggle them and pull at the same time, they usually come off quite easy. That one's come off quite easy. And number 2, wiggle it and pull it. Wiggle and pull. Not an awful lot of room down here, but that one's quite tight. We'll come back to that one. And the third one, wiggle and pull, wiggle. Oh, that's tight, that one as well. These two don't want to come. There you go, that's that one. Last one. There we go. So that's it, that's off. We need that bolt, so we need to take that out, get that out of there somehow. Right, now what we need to do is get the leads. This has got something all over it. I think I've spilt something over this. I don't know what it is, but we'll give it a wipe over afterwards. So put this back, put this into position, just there, and then we get the leads. And we find the spark plug. And we centre it on the spark plug. It's actually easy if you get a torch down here. And if you can, it's quite loose on there for some reason. Or maybe it's not gone down properly. That's it, that's that one I think. Number 2. That one's on. Number 3. That one's on. And number 4. That one's on. That's it. Right. Now we have to put the bolts in. So one of those bolts couldn't get out because one of the little inserts is stuck in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to put, actually this This one is missing 2 inserts as well that I'm putting on, unfortunately, so I don't know whether it'll make any difference. We may have to put, no, I think it's alright without the inserts, so we may have to put some washers on there just to hold it. Screw that up. So, actually before we put that one, let's put that one on the side, and we'll have to go and find another bolt for that back one, or I could just leave it off. You don't necessarily need the 3 on there, it's held on with 2 fine. There you go, that's on now. And all we've got to do then is just put the electrical connection in, and then I'm going to put this back into position, but I'm not going to bolt it down, because what I want to do is just try it, just to make sure the engine starts before we put everything back. So you have to get that back on there, the little breather hose, find the little nipple that it goes onto, and just push it on. It's not a very long pipe, it doesn't clamp on, it just pushes on. And then we put that back over on there, so that's in position. Before I screw it down, as I say, I am just going to start the engine. So let's start it, make sure it actually does start. No reason it shouldn't, but that is a second-hand one that I took off of a car, so you never know. Let's do it, let's try it. Does help if we put the battery connection back first, of course. There you go. Make sure there's no bolts or anything in the way, that you've not left any screwdrivers or spanners in the way before you start it. And here we go. There you go. Perfect. Make sure there's no errors on the screen. No engine light on or anything like that, which there isn't, so we know all those plug leads are all connected. And that's pretty much it, really. Now all we've got to do is put these back in. So I find it easier to start these by hand, because they are quite delicate, and if you get them cross-threaded, you mess them up and they don't go in. So I like to start it off by hand, just to make sure it's seated where it should before I tighten them up. And I don't use a buzz gun to do it either. I do it by hand, because you don't want to do them too tight. Same goes for this one, which I thought was a different size, but it's not. There you go, that's started. There we go. Now the only other thing I've got to do on this car is I've got to stick this back on to the airbox. As I say, that is quite common that they come off. So I'm going to stick that back on now with a bit of glue, and then put it all back together. So that's it. That's how you change a coil pack on a Fiat 500 or a Ford Ka 1.2 8 valve. Really easy, wasn't it? Told you it was. Don't know if it's necessarily going to fix it on this car. I haven't run the diagnostics again. I'll wait until such time as the fault comes back, if it comes back. But if you've got faults that are showing as misfires, if you've got lack of power, if you get the engine light randomly come on or it's on all the time, there are other things that it can be, and you really need diagnostics to figure out what it is. But if it's a misfire, it could be a plug, or it could be the coil pack. The plugs have already been changed on this car previously by the previous owner, and it's clearly not solved the problem. So I decided to change the coil pack. Only time will tell. But that's it. Thanks for watching. Check out the other how-to series. Lots of things in there that will quite easily save you lots of money at a garage that you can do yourself. You can pick up one of these coil packs on eBay really cheap, less than £50, probably £30 or £40, or you can buy a brand new one on places like Euros for about £85, £90. So you take your choice whether you want to get it's not an original, it's a third party, but they work. So you could buy a brand new one or get one for maybe 30, 35 quid, something like that, including leads on eBay. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Until the next one, as always, don't forget, subscribe to the channel. Give us a thumbs up until the next one. Take care, stay safe, and we'll see you soon.